So let's start with a quick introduction.
Yes. People.
Okay, great, fair enough. So that means you are handling end-to-end, like starting with the data warehouse, then preparing report and publishing the solution, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So when you put together a data warehouse, so um, what's the process you follow? Like uh, you take all the tables from the main production database and do some formatting and transformations in the SQL, or you take the tables and do all transformations in the Power BI itself.
In some cases where we don't have the database access, we
Mm,
do the transformation through the Power Query, right?
mm.
One of the customer we have handling in the dynamic where we don't have the access of database, we through the direct connect to the dynamics. We create the all masters and fact tables through the like Power Query. Right. And in if warehouse, like most of the client which have the data of Oracle, we do the like transformation, cleaning, or everything from the data warehouse, where we do like we took the, yeah, we create the direct masters of the client, but we do like create the modeling there. We create the like unique customer information should be in the master. It should be not be duplicate, and product should not be duplicate, right? We create the dimension table accordingly, and transactions where we create the all transaction of customers, product, executive wise, location wise, like warehouse wise. So we took all the code of dimension table and give and also taken the date wise transactions whatever they have done. So we
Okay.
create that transaction
Mhm.
table, but that table what we do, we fill in two parts. One in incremental, another is in regular. We can do by the incremental refresh in Power BI, but we generally prefer to handle by warehouse. What where like last 2 month data will be insert in the incremental table, and rest will be inserted in the regular table.
So
So
how you are handling this incremental refresh in data warehouse?
incremental refresh in Power BI, we have the option where we can include the refresh table in
No, no,
refresh, right?
n-
So
no, no,
what we
not.
do, yeah.
Sorry. What I'm asking, you mentioned that you prefer to handle that incremental update in the data warehouse itself rather
Yeah,
than in the Power BI. That's good. I
yeah, yeah.
agree. Now, my question is, how do you handle this in the data warehouse?
Yeah,
How do
in
you
data,
create? Mhm.
how do we create in the warehouse you're talking about, right?
Right. So you have any like Azure Data Factory pipelines, or you have written some SQL script which is dynamically pulling only
Yeah,
updated data or
we write the like procedures.
Mhm.
What one like we will have a three procedure for the sales table refill. One that one procedure where the all data will be deleted from the both tables and uh, inserted the data from the starting, right? Second procedure where we update only incremental table, where we updated everyday data in an incremental table, and only last, let's say I'm standing in the December, so
Mhm.
November to like mid of October to till December, the tables data will be there, and rest data will be in regular, right?
So,
So
so what is the frequency of your incremental refresh?
we do the refreshing on the daily basis.
Mhm.
So we set the
So,
refreshing. We what we do, like we schedule the job, that procedure of update, and it filled the data in incremental and
okay,
update
so
the data in, yeah.
so I'm trying to understand what the process you're following. You have mentioned that you have three store procedures. So one
Yeah.
is kind of going ahead and deleting everything in the tables. Second
And
is incrementally pulling data and updating in the tables, right? So
third
if
is like
Mhm.
sometimes like incremental table will be like, let's say I have created the table and inserted it, but that
Mhm.
incremental size will be increased after some time. So according that scenario, we'll push the data from incremental to regular, and we will take only 2 months data then in like increment. So
No,
the
so
data.
let's say I have a sales data from last 5 years. Okay. Now I want to incrementally pull that data into my data warehouse for
Mhm.
reporting purpose. Now I have set it up to incrementally refresh on regular, like on daily basis.
Mhm.
So will that process will on daily basis first delete all the records in my data warehouse table and then re-import it,
We
or?
generally what we do, we update, we schedule the job only for update table, where
Mhm,
they will firstly evaluate the data, whatever the data they have,
mhm,
it will be done. And let's say I'm like 22 December, so
mhm,
in next day I want 22 December data, 23rd December also. So it
mhm,
will in the procedure we will like handle it and update that data in incremental, and that will be handled in the night process, and our incremental data will be updated, like it will append the data accordingly, right? And that data we schedule the refresh on the report, which will be refreshed on the daily basis. So whatever the data's destination there, it will
mhm.
take automatically all data from incremental, so updated the years accordingly. We can another way, like if we want to handle from the Power BI, we do
Mhm.
the incremental refresh also there. We set the range there, and how many days of data we want to update it. We want to refresh it. We do the accordingly, but generally we avoid, because once we uploaded the incremental um, report on like Power BI services, we
Mhm.
cannot down. So that's why we handle it through the power like warehousing.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. So when you create data model, let's say you have more than one, let's say three fact tables. Have you encountered any scenario like that?
Generally, what we do, like if fact table, generally we do have a one.
Mhm,
Like if I'm talking about the module wise,
mhm.
in we consider one fact table and multiple dimensions. We never create the two, three fact tables accordingly.
No, let's think of a scenario. There are some possibilities where we can have more than one fact table, right? Because
Yeah.
there are some, let's say, multiple transactions are happening, and or we want to prepare a report which is kind of a combined from two different business segments, and they might have two different fact tables. So
Mm.
how would you handle that situation?
Uh, that situation, like in finance we handle it, because we have multiple fact where like I have the account wise like transaction there, and one like where we I have a head wise transaction. So
Mhm,
what we do, like we join, we do the data modeling from the Power BI section, where we join the uh, uh, dimension table to fact tables, right? That
mhm.
dimension table will be connected to the one fact table and another fact table also. That will be available on that. Let's say I have one product table, and where we have the product information, but another we have a product attribute table, right? And
Mhm.
in where like length, color, size, right, it available, where we have a duplicate product should be can be there, because there's a color option, there's a length. So we will like create the composite key, and firstly we will connect to that product to that table, then that fact tables, and fact table should have the length, color, size code also. So we create the composite key there, and same will be available in the sub dimension table, and we will connect to that table, that key also. So we from the data modeling part we can handle it.
Okay, all right. Let's assume you have the fact table with multiple dates. Okay,
Okay.
so like there is a sales table. Now that sales table have order date, it has ship date, it has invoice date, it has deliver date, right? Now in your report, let's say you are putting together a couple of visuals on a single page,
Mhm.
and all visuals that you have prepared, let's say all 5 visuals on a single page, they all are based on different dates in the same table, right?
Mhm.
Now you want to display only one date slicer on the top in the report, but
Okay.
still you want rest of the visuals should filter based on their date. So for example, you might display a date on the top, but a visual which is based on, let's say, payment date should only filter based on that payment date column, not based on sales date column. You understand this scenario, or?
You're talking about like that date also be connected to that date table. Should be
Mhm.
like connected to date table also, right?
So let me explain it and rephrase it. So, for example, again, the sales table that we have, it has multiple dates. Okay. Now, in general scenario, we can filter a table at a one point of time with a single column, right? So, for
Yeah.
example, if I say, show me the sales between 1st December till today. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, by doing this, all entire table will be filtered by this date. Now, but what I want is, I want the payment received during this date range rather than only the sales. Okay.
Okay.
So I want that visual should filter respectively with each date separately, not only with the sales date.
Okay. So you want like I should create a DAX accordingly?
Anyway, any workaround that you can suggest, it's completely your choice.
It's like generally like we can do one active relation, right?
Mhm.
So with the other like in active relation we have, I think we have one DAX like user relationship, right? For this, like we can relate that date to ship date, delivery date, whatever that we can filter it accordingly.
Okay, all right. So additionally, when you create a data model, what are the best practices that you follow?
In Power BI,
Mhm.
yeah, in Power BI, like see best practices like generally I initially like currently we started like data flow
Mhm.
where like we have to connect through the data flow and that data set can be reusable for other data set, right?
Mhm.
So what we do, we firstly create the data set for and we do the transformations accordingly, like whatever the joins we do on the data warehouse we can do by like Power Query. And how can we like get the like subquery we can add it, like we did it like our team member was facing that problem. And they said let's say I know the warehousing of my BI,
Mhm.
what kind of like dimension and factor, so I just used to guide them that this joint relate to that things you can do by the Power Query with the inner join or left join, whatever the joins I have put it on that query, you can put
Mhm.
it on that Power Query so that you can get that similar dimension table from the Power
Mhm.
Query rather than used in the warehousing. So we did it in like one of my project, that is MR. And we also use it, that is easy, that is DIL, where we handle it all through the data flow. So that was a best practice which we were doing.
Okay. Any other consideration that you would follow? Let's say if you have like 10 to 15 tables that you're finally importing in your Power BI report. how would you manage them? Like any best practices there you would follow?
10 to 15 tables.
Yeah, let's say there are multiple dimensions table with a small amount of data, but yeah, one or two fact tables.
Generally, in finance, we face that issue
Hmm.
because sometimes client want like only month closing, right? In
Hmm.
some of report, they want like particular period data. Let's say I'm
Hmm.
talking about costs that they want to see.
Hmm.
Generally, in some of the client, they handle it by the like they provide the column costs and we calculate it accordingly from the date. But in some table, they have opening, they have a closing, and they have expenses. After that, they calculate the costs. So for that, we need to like patch that tables and then we create the DAX. So we do by like in finance we handling that kind of thing where we have handled multiple fact tables there
Hmm.
which can be joined with the chart of account of
Okay.
finance.
It seems like you have mostly worked with the financial data. Am I right?
No, sir, we I worked on the production also. I'm
Mhm.
very good in sales also. I worked on purchase also
Okay.
and HR also.
Okay. So, how do you handle financial years in Power BI?
Financial year in Power BI.
Mhm.
Generally, see, we have like multiple DAX functions are available in Power BI.
Mhm.
They used to do by like time intelligence functions and they used to calculate it. But how do we handle it? We want to use it in uh, we generally create the Power BI report dates, the things that which can be used in other module also, right? The date can be same similar for that. If I'm talking about the sales, it we are talking about the like current year value that should be
Mhm.
start date and end date till date. 22 December, right? And if purchase same, right? So what we create, we have a financial year master in our database. We control it by the calendar. We create the calendar which gives the data of the related to current year financial year start date or end date. Then we create the, like financial year month number, financial year quarter number. Then we create the DAX of current financial start date, current financial end date, current financial till date, right? And month start date, month end date, quarter start date, quarter end date, so that we can easily get the value and that table. We generally, once we created the date, we save it as a blank where we only created a date and handled by financial year, and that the report can be reusable in our finance also, in purchase also, in inventory also, in HR also, because the financial year will be the same for that. And if
Okay.
different date parameter they will have, we will we will inbuild accordingly. Sometimes people want like month over month, year over year. So we created the DAX accordingly, and then we calculate some whatever the periods we want, we calculated.
Okay. All right. How many types of joins there in the Power BI?
In Power BI, we have inner join, left outer join, right outer join, left anti join, right anti join, right? And I think one full outer maybe have not, but I don't use, but I use it this these joins. And
Okay.
same in the database, like they were don't have the anti join, but inner joins, left join, outer right outer join, full outer joins, and self
Mhm.
joins.
Okay. How do you handle blanks in the Power BI? So let's say you have created a measure which might return blank sometimes, but you don't want to show that blank. How would you handle that?
Blanks we can replace it through like we uh, handle it by like if we found that generally we handle it by the like um in warehouse we put it like zero else na there,
Mm.
right? But if directly we handle it so we like we can replace there, right? We can give the if condition there, like if there's a blank there, we can use a switch there, right? So
Mm.
with that DAX function we can handle it also.
Okay. Okay. Let's assume there is a sales table and there is a list of products and name of sales agents. Okay. So please write a DAX that will return sum of sales of, let's say, a product which is XYZ and sold by agent A. So let me repeat. Your DAX should return sum of sales amount for product XYZ by agent A in month of Jan. So there are three conditions. Okay.
One is need to calculate first for particular product, can be any,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
right?
So your DAX should return sum of sales for product which is XYZ, which must be sold by agent named A, and the sales month should be Jan.
Okay.
Okay, so let's assume like in your table you have month-wise data, nothing complicated. So let's say Jan, then the sales amount and sales agent's name, and the product name.
Oh, what we can do that calculate sale, right?
Yeah,
Calculate
just please
sum of.
write it down in the Teams window.
Okay, just a second. And the sales table gives the month-wise data, right?
Right. Okay. All right.
We can do by filter also like that,
Mhm.
but in simple way we can give that and condition, and it will take all three conditions.
Okay, fair enough. You're comfortable with SQL as well. You mentioned that you're handling end to
Yeah,
end.
yes. I will be glad.
So yeah, so let's write a SQL query. So whatever you have written in the DAX, let's convert that into SQL, and that should be like returning the sum of sales for each project for each product by sales agent. So sum
Each
of
product,
sales, yeah.
sum of
So
sales, product wise sum of sales, right?
correct, by each agent.
Each agent also.
Yep.
Sum of sales by product and agent for
Mhm.
particular period.
For let's say all the products, no conditions there. However, you can add one condition where sales amount is greater than 1,000.
Greater than 1,000 sales
Hmm.
amount.
Yes.
Executive wise also.
Sorry.
Product wise sales only.
Let's assume that you want to understand what is the sales of a product which is done by each agent. So it can be, you can create it based on per agent, what are the products sold and what's the sales amount. So first hierarchy would be agent name, then the product, and then the sales amount. Okay, and how about that condition where sales is greater than 1,000?
We can put having sum of sales greater than 10,000.
Okay, great. So what is the difference between where and having?
Where you are filtering the data, like for condition, like say you want to have some particular name condition, like some date condition, and having where like you have done some aggregation, like where like aggregation calculation we are doing, and we some of some things can be greater than that in group function we use in the having clause there.
Okay. So when you set up a data warehouse, have you also worked on creating triggers, waves, and all
So
those?
generally we less do the create trigger, but I know trigger generally we created on the event file, like kind of one of my like application I was working on the task center, where
Mhm.
like we have a tool of where like we need to select the table and we have to select the event on insert, on update, on delete, right? it fire the some update the column accordingly. So one that row will be insert and it that flag should be Y. So we create the trigger accordingly. So in like BI we generally less do, but in my one project where task center there was a
Mhm.
tool. I have to select one table and we have to update that one column. So I did it by that.
Okay. Can we, does Power BI support parameterized stored procedure?
Power BI parameters store procedures.
So let's say there is a parameterized store procedure created in the SQL or in the data warehouse. Now
Okay.
you want to utilize its return. So whatever result which is returned by that store procedure, you want to utilize that result in the Power BI. So for example, you can go into the connection mode and specify that store procedure name. So because that store procedure is parameterized, will you be able to use that in Power BI?
I think in data flow we have a blank query option there.
Mm.
Like we can create the coding, we can write the code. Like there's some like conditions there. Generally, we write the code in simple way in the database, but in blank query, we have like some exceptions. Like if you have a column name with space, so we have to put double quote there. We can execute by the blank query.
Okay.
We did it like in one, but not procedure.
Mhm.
We fetch the data through the like we have to run that query to one report where like I need to get the non-performing product and year wise some value. So whatever the code I have, I give my to team and they put it, they initiate in the blank query and the output will become accordingly.
Okay. Have you worked on Tableau as well?
No, not in
No.
Tableau.
Okay. So, I mean, not even like hands-on experience or
I know I read about only on online Tableau,
okay.
but I worked only Excel, Advanced Excel,
Mhm.
VBA, and then Power BI and SQL and all.
Okay.
I have a knowledge of Power Automate.
Mhm.
Little bit I started to work in some automation where like I give to my client direct insight. So I did it
Okay,
accordingly.
that's fine. No challenges. So, in your Power BI report, let's say you want to create a visual, and there is a scenario that let's say client wants some kind of a swipe effect on the same page. So for example, there would be two visuals, but one would be hidden at a time, but there would be two buttons on the top. So user can like switch between. So let's say there's same data, but one form is a chart and one form is a tabular format.
Okay.
So how can you create that?
Yeah, in one one of my client where they want to have a condition. Some of the client want to see that chart in pie and some want to see in column bar. So we handle it through the bookmark and
Mhm.
they can press the button and whatever the client have a requirement, they click on that button on the bar and they will get the accordingly the answer and they can import it as a PDF and send it to client.
Okay. Have you recently faced any challenge in Power BI? So you have worked on so many projects. Any challenge that you came across?
Mostly, I have faced a challenge in inventory reports and finance report. Most of the client having a issue, like whatever we like do the calculation, they do the adjustment in the ERP, right? They can do
Mhm.
by that directly pass directly they create this different queries according but in a power bi we show the whole data accordingly, right? So
Mhm.
we cannot do such kind of adjustment. We show the whole data. So some query which we found it, so we need to like understand to client like where they are wrong. They have to like find out the solution because they are override the things there, but x scenario was that and you have changed it accordingly. So after many clients which were using ERP and after that using BI, they were more reliable in the BI report. They don't rely on the ERP report. Even they verify the ERP report through the BI report. But initially we were facing that kind of challenge to client to understand like how like we don't show the we are not showing the wrong value to you, but your scenario has been changed, you override the all things, and that's why it is given. If you want to change, we can override it. So accordingly they understand, and they now they cleaning the data with the help of BI and do the like enter the data in ERP accordingly. So such kind of like challenges which we handle sometimes, like client don't and they like they don't they want like dynamics things like sparky colors, right? Simple
Mhm.
colors don't want. They one of my client, the Amor client, which we create the visualization like pie bar, like this is give you summarize information, right? And you can understand it, but they want that things in tabular format. They have changed all things in the tabular. They want that should become all things in tabular. We like try to understand that client that if you showing the all information in tabular, then what is the use of BI? Because that can be look at on ERP report also. You will get the pixel tabular for report there. So
Mhm.
once we like understand to client, we give the like brief introduction. We tell him that that is a kind of top level information, top management level information, where you get the summarized information. It will not give you one by one reading one thing, right? Once you get the
Mhm.
summarized information, you can evaluate, you can read your data inside easily.
Okay.
So they understand it and done it.
Okay. Got it. All right. So you mentioned what is your total years of experience?
I have like more than 8 years experience. But if you're
Okay.
talking about in Power BI, I'm
Mhm.
working since like 5 to 6 years.
Okay. 5 to 6 years in Power BI and with SQL.
SQL, initially I started working SQL in Oracle.
Mhm.
So I was not like I'm very much like getting the I get the initial functional training in my company. So I was very much aware my dependency of all tables and functionality. So that would be easy to me to handle like create a joins to the table. So I worked on a last like 7 years, you can say that.
Okay. All right. So I guess I'm good. And I don't have any further questions. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes, I do have a question. I just want to know if I'm got selected, what kind of responsibility I need to handle there.
Yeah, so the project that the candidates that we are looking for is completely based on a Power BI project, and it is similar to what you are working right now. So you might have to handle data warehouse and Power BI reports end to end, along with taking requirements from the client. So it's kind of a generic reporting stuff, nothing complicated. So this is in nutshell that we are looking for. So I see all the things you are already doing. So let's see how it goes. So
Okay,
I'll definitely share your feedback with HR and they'll get back to you.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you for